Pupils, for whatever reason, can be difficult or awkward and hard to motivate in your lessons, but there are various things you can do to try and help solve this problem. As a teacher, this is part of the challenge that we have, part of the thing that makes that job interesting, motivating those pupils that are difficult. Often one approach that works particularly well is the firm but fair. Explain to these kids what the rules are the moment they come into the lesson. That way they know that from the off, this is what I expect of them, this is what they have to do. And if they fail to meet those expectations, then they know what will happen. And then there's no room for them to manoeuvre, and there's no way in which they can argue that that's unfair or not fair. So there are many other things you could do to engage these difficult pupils. Things like praise, rewards. It's all about getting to know these kids and understanding what makes them tick. You know, what one kid might like as a reward, other kids won't. Things like accommodations, sweets, puzzles, games, rewards. Each kid is different. Pupils also tend to want to know that you're on their side or you understand where they're coming from. So a big part of engaging these difficult pupils can be getting to know what makes them tick, getting them to understand that you're there to support them as well as to teach them. You can also try and make your lessons more interesting or engage them in something they like. So for instance, as a humanities teacher, I can often base most of my lessons geographically around things like football, which engage a lot of the boys, things like shopping. I've also witnessed things like French lessons where Facebook has been used as the main medium to teach children terms to do with food and drink as a way of getting around and breaking down barriers between difficult. Overall, the key for me is getting to know these pupils. Once you know that they're difficult to engage, it's all about learning what makes them tick and figure out how to engage them in your lessons. De-escalating situations, getting in there before a situation happens. But also it's just a case of getting those kids on side, making them want to learn your subject through your subject.
Did you know that very often boys will try to get on well with the teacher first? That's what they'll look for first of all. Can they develop a relationship with you? Do they like you as a teacher? Irrespective of the subjects. Girls very often, they like the subject, they get their heads down, they work, they do well. They like the subject, they'll put in the effort. Boys, it's a different story. They'll probably spend first few lessons, particularly if you're new to them as a teacher, sussing you out, just trying to work out exactly what they've got their hands on here. Do they like you? Are they going to be able to get on with you? So those first few lessons, really are pretty crucial. My advice would be, if you've got a difficult lad or lads in your class, straight away it's really about relationships. A lot of what we do in school is about relationships. Try and make a connection, whatever that connection may be. Try and make a connection with that difficult boy. I've found very often from my experience, difficult lads, they love their sport, particularly football. Connection for me straight away, who's your football team? My Monday mornings very often as lads are coming into my class, we're talking about the football fixtures. That connection may be something to do with, a pop band. It could be anything at all really, but the more you put in, the more you'll find out about them. And you can start little mini conversations with them, almost every time you see them, whether it's coming into your lesson, or whether it's in the corridor, it's a lunchtime, it's a break time. Because what you're showing that difficult lad is you're interested in them. You want to find out how their week is going, how their football team's going. And that really will mean a lot. They may not show it, but just try to make that connection with them, wherever it may be. Encouragement and praise. A lot of the lads I deal with, they don't get perhaps a lot of encouragement and praise. They certainly won't get a lot of it at home. And if I'm honest, in school, because they get up to mischievous times and they get into trouble, they do get tellings off, they do get negatives. So, praise and encouragement, so important. Latch on to something that they do well. It may be within a lesson, they do 3 or 4 things wrong, but they do one thing well. So yes, I'm not saying ignore the 3 or 4 things. They may need to be dealt with, you may need to have a quiet word with them, but as soon as a positive's there, they put their hand up, they answer a question, they do a good bit of written work. Latch on to that. And I would do it privately very often. I've found from my experience that lads, particularly older lads, don't actually like being shown up, for want of a better phrase, with praise in a lesson. If you were to say to them in front of the whole class, oh, that's really good, you've done very well, they actually find that quite embarrassing. So what I try to do is very often during the course of a lesson, is just get alongside them and just have a little whisper in their ear. You did well there, that was good. Little pat on the shoulder, things like that. These little things that make all the difference if they're done consistently, because all of a sudden they're starting to realise, oh, this person quite likes me, they want what's best for me, they want to encourage me, they want to praise me. It doesn't always need to be within a lesson. You could say to a lad, right, just stay behind for 30 seconds at a lesson, I just want a quick word. So you wait till all their mates have gone, so the embarrassment factor is gone. So, you did really well today. I was really pleased with the work that you put in. Or you see them next day in the corridor, they're just passing you. Just pop over here a minute, take them to one side of the corridor, just say, look, you were great yesterday, I was really impressed with you. Always start each lesson afresh with them, with that fresh, positive attitude. So if they've had a bad lesson previously, they're coming to you, and you're going to say to them, I don't want to know what's happened, right? I want you now for this next day. And you're going to be positive with them, and you're going to do your best for them. Or if they've given you trouble the previous lesson or the previous day, try, forget it, start again. Don't refer back to it. You start off saying to them, oh, you were awful, I say, what are you going to be like today? It's not going to work. Forget about how they've dealt with you in the past. Keep it positive with them as much as you possibly can from the word go. And start that lesson off with a nice little conversation. How's your weekend been? How's your football team?